What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast. It is Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern, and that is when we do these things. Come and hang out with us, talk about guitar stuff, and whatever else we get into this afternoon. I appreciate everybody who comes and listens. I want to thank our Patreon supporters for supporting us. In fact, let's put that little doodad up there where you can find out how to join Patreon if you want. You get 10% off pickups and loaded pick cards and all that kind of stuff if you do that, as well as some other stuff, monthly hangouts and this and that. Of course, there's our Instagram and our website and all that stuff too. So, also, these are all ad-free. So if you want to support the channel, you can by supporting any of those links right there, going and buying some pickups, etc. Or you can use a super chat today when you ask a question. You don't have to, but you can. And yeah, that's all we got. So we're going to talk about some an interesting thing today. Again, this idea for this video came from another video in another industry that I was watching this morning or yesterday, I think. So here's a question. Here is the question. Because there's going to be, and I want to get everybody in the chat today and in the comments afterwards to contribute. Okay. My question is: you saw the thumbnail. How much should your guitar cost? I don't care how much my guitar costs. You shouldn't care how much my guitar costs. So let's get this right out of the way. Okay. How much I think something is worth is none of your business. Okay. End of story. So if I want to play a $5 guitar or a $5,000 guitar, that's none of your business. You should be worried about how much you want to spend on your guitar and what you want. End of story. Okay. And what you do with your hard-earned dollars and what you want to do to create is none of my business. Now, when we get together and play, I'm going to respect you. Whatever choice you've made, I'm going to respect you. And I'm just going to enjoy myself, right? If we're jamming out and I've got a custom shop Les Paul and you're playing a Harley Benton, I don't care. We respect each other and we're just going to hang out and we're going to do that. So here's what I want to know. What parameters do you use to decide what you're going to spend your money on when it comes to a guitar? Okay. And I know there's going to be some common tropes that I think, honestly, sort of should be avoided. Because I think, and I don't want to impose my idea of what I think is right and wrong on somebody else. But what I have noticed about the guitar culture is that the focus on these things gets way off focus of why we even play guitar in the first place. Okay. So, what the guitar is made of seems to be pretty high on people's lists. How much does it cost? Like the cost of parts, like, well, that's basswood, so it should be cheaper, right? What features does it have? So this guitar is got more features, therefore it should be, just as good as, or less expensive because it has less features, etc., because it doesn't have as many switches and bits and bobs and chrome and whatever else. The biggest one, though, is how much does it cost in comparison to something I already own? That's the biggest one I think that you need to just throw out. Well, I have X amount. I have this guitar that costs X amount and it's this good. So therefore, all guitars should only cost this much, or etc. Right? So my question is, what parameters do you use to decide if you're going to buy a guitar or not? Right? That's the question. So let's go through here and see if we've got some stuff here. Looks like we got a super chat. Ad-free is cool too. Thank you so much, Dastardly Dave. I appreciate you very much. Let's see. And when we talk about this, okay, this is going to be really, really hard. Okay. This is the thought paradigm, the parameters that you use. So throw the dollar amount out the window. Don't think about the actual dollar amount. Think about the decision-making paradigm. Okay? Separate the two. 100%. We're not worried about money right now. Because this should apply no matter your decision-making paradigm should apply no matter how much the guitar costs. And here's why. Because it's more than an object. It's a thing that you create with. Okay? So we're trying to separate those two things. I am curious on this vid because I am not that flush. So I gave many cheap and yard sale guitar. I have many cheap and yard sale guitars, but some have been awesome. There is a point where no return is not worth the investment. Okay, to you. So what is that? What is the decision? What? Not money. We're talking about, do you like it? Are you drawn to the thing? Do you like the color? Does it sound good? Most importantly, does it inspire you to play? Pride of ownership. Are you proud to have the thing? Right? Those are some non-tangibles. These things are kind of non-tangibles that should come into your decision-making paradigm when thinking about a tool for art making. Okay? We're not talking about mahogany versus ash. We're not talking about nickel versus chrome. We're not talking about plastic nuts versus bone nuts. We're talking about what makes you want to play the thing. That's the most important thing. This is kind of a loaded question. There are so many variables. What grade of wood? See, I don't care about any of that. Maybe you do. That's fine. But this is the problem. This is the problem. In a lot of industries, actually, it happens in other things that I'm interested in too. When people reduce everything to the pile of parts on the table, well, those parts aren't as much as those parts, so therefore that must be cheaper. Let me ask you a question. Does who made the guitar matter? Does who made the product matter to you? That's a question I have for you. If I'm going to buy a new guitar, it would be a Texas Toast. I got to play one here in Columbia. Dude, you should grab one. I've got one right there that you could have for a reasonable amount of money. Calm down, it's not your guitar. For me, it's mostly about how easy the guitar is to play and less about how it sounds. Okay. It's easy to swap pickups and parts. I agree. I also have to think it looks cool. 100%, I agree. It's an important quality, right? Like you just said, I think if you don't want to pick the thing up, then it's not worth having. For any number of reasons, right? If you don't identify with it because of where it's made, if you don't identify with it because of who made it, if you don't, and this answer could be different for everybody, right? But we're not talking about money right now. So there are certain guitars that I don't care where they're made. And also, here's the other thing. The answer might not be the same every time. The answer might not be the same for every guitar. If it is okay, so I'll give you an example. If it's a traditional one of the big five, okay, so let's say it's a 335, SG, Les Paul, Strat, Telly. Okay, to me, that's kind of like the big five. If it's one of those, has to be American for me. Has to be. Because they're American companies. I want the real thing. Okay? If it's a shreddy kind of guitar, I don't care. I don't care where it comes from. It could be Japanese. It could be Chinese. It could be Indonesian. It could be... I don't care. it makes no difference to me, because in my mind, and this is, again, this could be different for everybody. In my mind, I don't care where it's made. And honestly, I don't necessarily care who makes that kind of guitar either, because they're sort of, in my mind, all the same. And you might be a person who, because you play that kind of music, might jump through the internet and be like, no, they're not all the same. This one is special because of this and because of this and because of this. I don't identify with that. It's just different, right? So you're like, no, for me, it has to be a Charvel San Dimas. It has to be a real Ernie Ball. It has to be like whatever. I don't know. A custom shop ESP. It has to be whatever. But I don't know, because I don't identify with that stuff. So that's not where my brain is. But if it's one of the big five, it has to be the right one, right? So for each person, the answer might be different, right? If it's a bass, I don't care. I'm not really a bass player, so as long as it goes boom, 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 I don't really care. I just don't care. Right? So that's kind of the thing. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to catch up with y'all. Build quality is number one. Okay. So, build quality, what does that mean? What does build quality mean? Because build quality and quality control are not the same. Okay. And they're not the same. So, and what does build quality mean? Like, you get the guitar and it's got bad quality control, so therefore you're not going to buy it anymore, or you're just going to return it and get a good one, right? Those things need to be parsed out. And the reason I want to dive into each of these things is because this really affects the community. The larger picture of all of us playing guitar together and enjoying each other and enjoying the hobby. It depends on us being able to hang out and talk about it. That's why, because it's a community, right? Oh, hey. Beyond tangible qualities, a massive factor for me is the emotional response. If I don't admire the way the guitar looks, feels, or inspires me to keep going, I don't care about features or parts. Amen. And you know what? For me, the same thing. And I think beyond that, this is an interesting one for me, though. So then going backwards the other way, this is also where who made it, the story of the company. I care about that a lot. I would rather have less things and have a couple of really good things that I really know the story. I was actually talking to Carlos Lopez he used to work at the Fender Custom Shop, and now he owns Castarosa Guitars. And him and I were, I don't know, maybe this weekend he called me, and we were talking just about, and I think that's what kind of inspired this whole idea. And then I saw this other video. We were talking about how, like, he was telling me, he's like, you make great stuff. He's like, you make great stuff. He's like, continue to be vulnerable and tell your story on the internet. That's what's going to help you continue to grow. And he's like, and I think that's why my new company, after being 2 or 3 years in business, is going gangbusters. He said after he left Fender, is because his story is so cool. And I want one of his guitars probably more than just about any other brand right now, because I know him, because I know his story, because I identify with it. To me, that the story is the most important thing to me, I think, because if somebody who makes a thing is inspired, then it inspires me to use it. Right. If it's a thing that just spits out, then it's like, whether you use it or not, it doesn't matter, because somebody else is going to use it. It's like, whatever. But if you know that somebody like bled in this thing and their DNA is in it and they stayed up late and they got up early and they drew the design at 3:00 in the morning on a napkin and, or whatever, they were on a plane when they came up with something or who knows what, when you know those kind of things, to me, that is so inspiring to want to use it. It makes me want to pick the guitar up. Quality, when it comes from somebody like that, you usually never have to worry about that. So quality control just goes out the window. I think the words quality control, we just need to stop saying them. We don't even need to worry about it. If the guitar is bad, send it back. End of story. Quality control should not be a conversation. Okay. It should never be, because it never is in anything else. Right. So if you buy, and I've talked about this before, if you buy a vacuum cleaner and it doesn't work, you send it back and get another one. If you, I don't know, doesn't matter. If you have a problem with your brand new car, you take it back and they fix it under warranty. Like, end of story. Like, that's it. There shouldn't be quality control conversations. You just return it and get a new one. That's all there is to it. It's not that hard. Like, those kind of things are not, hey. Dogs are going crazy. If you change the question to, does it matter which professional made your guitar, then no. But I don't want a crackhead making me a guitar. Well, then don't buy it. Then don't buy it. You're not forced. See, and this is the other thing. You're not forced. There is no grand conspiracy to rip you off, to make you buy something that you didn't want to buy, or spend more money than you wanted to spend, right? If you have these things, your principles that drive you as an artist in mind, then none of these things are really a conversation. You're just going to go buy the thing that moves you. That's it. So you don't need to worry about some chucklehead building you a guitar, because you're not going to buy that brand anyway. If that really matters to you, you're not even going to look at it. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And that's the thing. Who made it doesn't matter as long as it meets the other parameters I look for. Okay. This is USA. The price is what people are willing to pay. That is okay. People are trying to bring price into it. I guess it has to come in at some point. That's not true. People will not pay what they're not willing to pay. And a company will not exist if it makes products that are beyond what people are willing to pay. So, for example, Gibson, all their guitars are right around high 2s, low 3s right now. Okay. Which really, with inflation from the 50s and 60s all the way down to today, are basically what they've always cost. Okay. It sounds like a lot to those of us that remember when they were cheaper, right? But they weren't actually really ever cheaper. You could get a Les Paul for half the money when you could get gas for half the money. Okay. So there is that. But Gibson is not trying to rip you off, right? They're not just in it for the money, except that they are, because they're a business and that's what businesses do. I wouldn't make pickups if it didn't make me money. I have to survive. I have to eat. Okay. We were talking about this today on Facebook too. Like, people are really like, well, they're owned by a stock firm now, and they're worried just about profits and blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. As you scale a company and as it gets bigger, infrastructure has to grow, which means you have to have more things in place to make the thing grow. You have to have more You have to have more equipment. You have to have more utilities. You have to have more people. You have to have HR. You have to have more insurance. You have to have more marketing. You have to have more of everything, right? The thing has to grow. But why does it grow? Why does it grow? Because you want the product and you don't want to wait 5 years for it, right? I know a lot of people who will buy boutique pickups and wait 6 or 8 months. That blows my freaking mind. I will never be in that situation. I cannot imagine doing that to a customer. So what do I have to do? I have to incur more costs. I have to buy more equipment. I have to restructure everything. We had to buy a place to put a shop in so that we could do this, right? I have incurred more costs. Therefore, my prices will never go down because I have to incur more costs so that you don't wait for your product. To a point, because if I start charging more, or if Gibson starts charging more than the market will bear, they won't sell any and they'll go backwards, right? The reason, for example, Gibson and Fender got in trouble over the last few years is because kind of misdirection of ideas, right? If they stay basic with what they're good at, they'll sell guitars forever. And the price will slowly rise like everything else does at a particular rate, whatever that is, based on whatever's going on in the world, and everything will be fine. And everybody will always buy those guitars and it will be totally fine. Nobody's out to try to screw you into buying their guitar. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. And if you think so, then I don't know. BetterHelp.com/DylanTalksTone. You get a discount on your first month. Let's see. That demo video was beautiful. Thanks. We got a bunch of people, a couple people anyway, were like, you're using too much reverb. I'm like, well, when you buy my pickups, you can just turn your reverb off and be boring. I don't care. But I cannot stand super dry sound. Don't like it at all. And I would imagine that most people don't play with no reverb or no time-based anything whatsoever at all. If you play 100% dry all the time, get in the comments and let me know. But I want to hear you do it and in what context. So you're going to have to send me a YouTube link or something, because otherwise I think you're lying. So, I might buy it. Why not? Yeah, exactly. This is a really hard question now that I understand it. One of my favorite guitars is an old Ibanez Stage Star from the 90s. Plywood. Yeah, dude. It's because it's priceless to you. Same thing. My first guitar that I ever had, I have a 1985 Strat. I could only get, I don't know, $800 for it or something if I sold it. I'll never sell it. It's priceless. Gibson is a premium brand. One of the only brands that doesn't put their name on any import models. I never hear anyone complain about the price of their Harley Davidson. Exactly. And to tell you the honest truth, Gibson is not a premium brand. They are what an American guitar costs. I guess they are. They've always kind of put themselves as a premium brand, right? Even back in the old days, they were more expensive than a Strat or a Tele. But yes, and you know what? I applaud them for doing that. Same thing with Harley Davidson. You do not see like a Harley Epiphone, right? Like there's no Epiphone Harley Davidson motorcycle. Not to my knowledge anyway. And I'm pretty knowledgeable about motorbikes. There are other brands that do that, but not them. Have you ever tried the Martin Grand Performance shape? I have. It seems like a really cool triple O dread bastard. Yes, I have. If I'm gonna buy a Martin, I'm gonna buy a regular dread though, just because again, when it comes to the traditional stuff, that's where like I'm gonna like, no, I want the thing. Like if I got in a situation where I could have multiple Martins, then maybe I would, but I'm gonna go for the traditional one. Do you think Wiz pickups are worth the price? I don't even know what they are. Reverb is like cowbell. Exactly. Robert Cray does play dry. You're right. That's true. Let's see. Um, 500K pots with RP90s. Not drinking before. Exactly. Let's see. FedEx arrived. Gotta go. Sounds like he's got something cool. These dogs are on one today. No, it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. But having the bones on the hardwood floor is like the loudest thing ever. It's so funny. Gibson isn't a premium brand the same way Rolex isn't a premium watch to watch aficionados. It's the Walmart brand of luxury watches. So that's an interesting thing because actually, so I'll tell you, this whole conversation came from a knife video. And I think that one of the things that guitar players have a hard time understanding is that there are tiers to everything. They just think that every Gibson should only cost $500 and that every right, but there are tiers to things. There's just like, if you're not that, and the other thing is that all guitars are not made for all people. It's just like any other product. Not every product is made for every person. But you have to have the self-awareness and the humility to realize that you are an Epiphone person. You know, Gibson's not too expensive. You're just an Epiphone person. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And that's an interesting thing about the Gibson not being a premium brand, because I agree. To me, it's a standard. It's like, the Martin D28, the Gibson Les Paul, the Strat, the Tele, the 335, the Gibson J45 acoustic. Those are like the standards. I don't see any of those as premium or less than premium. They're just the things. Those are the real things. Those are what everybody else chases after. And then there are more budget tiers, lower budget tiers below that. And there are more premium brands above that, right? And based on what you like is what you're going to buy. And that's why having this conversation where we separate price from everything. We haven't talked about money that much. What we're really concerned about is what makes you want to buy a guitar. And if what makes you want to buy a guitar drives you towards a higher tiered priced guitar, then that's what you want. That's what you should get. And if what you want and what is important to you does not require that, then don't spend the money and you save yourself a bunch of money. It doesn't matter about ability. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff. Where you are right now in your ability, in your desire to play, in your enjoyment of the hobby, in your interaction with the community, where you are right now, the decision-making paradigm that you use to buy your next guitar should make you decide what to buy. Cost should have nothing to do with it. Because I think what will happen is, if you're really honest with yourself about why you do it and what you want, you'll probably already decide on a guitar that costs what you can afford, because you're that person. right? Now, there's going to be the people that are like, you know, close your eyes, open them, and I'll automatically look at the most fancy thing in the room. Like, you know, I get that because I'm kind of that. But in those cases, patience. Save up and buy the thing you want. This is something that we should really enjoy. This is a really fun conversation to have because I really like hearing everybody's kind of different ways of looking at the same thing. I think I might be an Epiphone person, at least in electrics. After some good pickups and working on them, they are good enough for me. And now acoustics, I might want a J45 or, yeah, okay. So exactly. And we talked about this earlier, right? It's different for everybody. Yes, I have a custom shop Gibson because that particular model of guitar, I wanted the thing. But I also really enjoy my Hello Kitty Squire with a replacement pickup in it. I don't care that the tuners are kind of dodgy. They're not terrible. They're pretty decent. I don't care that I had to do some, it was a cheap guitar, so I could, had to do some work on it to make it nice. And it's awesome. I love it. Because that's what that guitar is for. That makes sense. That's that guitar, right? That's what it's for. It's just like anything else in life. You'll have, you'll have the wrench in your toolbox that you use when it's raining out or when you are going to drain antifreeze and you don't want to get your good snap-on wrench all gross, right? Or you're going to have the kitchen pair of scissors and you're going to have the garage pair of scissors and you're going to have the whatever, right? Like all through life, we have these things that are like, yeah, the crappy one is fine, or not the crappy one, but the less expensive one, or the thing I don't mind prying with because if I bend it a little, I can just bend it back or whatever. And then you have the really nice thing that you keep nice. And guitars are the same. Everything has its own little purpose, and I think that's what's really fun when you really can be honest about that. I don't know. I'm into cheap guitars with good pickups these days. I've recently discovered a bridge pickup in neck position. Just trying different things is fun. Yeah, so that's cool. So experimenting too. Yeah, dig it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cost of the investment is important too. If someone spends a lot on a guitar, they might feel obligated to play and practice to get their money's worth. Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah. But if it's not good, if it's not right for you, then you won't. So that's why I think cost is the last thing. You probably have already made all the other decisions and then decided the cost was worth it or not to you. Then you won't have that problem. That's why we're really trying to leave cost till last. Premium brands also have lower tiered models as well. Martin sells $700 guitars and $7,000 guitars. They do, exactly. Yeah. As does Gibson, Epiphone, Fender, Squier, PRS, PRS SE, all that stuff. Yep. No, I think it's great. That's what's super fun. Being that I'm blind, the feel of the instrument and if it inspires me or not seems to be the most important factors. Hey, that's really neat actually to hear that. That's really cool. Price shouldn't be the main driver, but there's something real cool about finding a bargain that exceeds your expectations. Yeah, if you're a bargain hunter, I get that. I'm not, but yeah, I do get that because there are some people that are like that. Do you still have Cerakote pickup, by the way? I don't think so. I think we only had one left, and I think I sold it a few weeks ago. I can look, but I think it's gone. Um, yeah, let's see here. Just making sure that I'm not missing anybody's comment. I'm trying to catch up on most everybody here. Do you think a broad speaker is better to get than a thin Celestion V20 versus Jensen Standard? So that's a question that can't be answered, really, because there's not enough information there. However, that's going to be a personal taste thing because speakers are a big deal. Like changing speakers can completely change an amp. So I would say that you should continue to research that. Yeah, I would make sure that you continue to research that because that's going to continue to that'll be a much more involved conversation than just that question. Yep. I was actually sitting here the other day thinking about what I was going to get next. I was looking at those so I was looking at a Kiesel the other day and I was thinking about that. I am not in a position right now to buy a Castadosa, otherwise I would. But they're like $7,500, so it's probably not going to be in my wheelhouse at the moment. But you know, we'll see. Cheaper guitar and a more expensive amp will give you a better playing experience than an expensive guitar with a cheap amp. I totally disagree. And I'll tell you why. Because the human to tool interface that is the guitar is the most important part. So when everybody's like, "Oh, the tone is in your hands," well, if it doesn't get from your hands to the guitar properly, it will never go anywhere after that. The sound starts with your interaction with the instrument, and a cheap guitar that has things that are less than ideal will rob you of that before anything else will. If you can interact with an instrument and connect with it, you can find a sound on a cheap amp that will work. It might not be standing in front of a stack of Marshalls, but that's why you can sit and play with I've got these little positive grid things and whatever, and I love them. I'll sit around and play, but if the guitar doesn't work, and it's not right, and it doesn't fit me, and I'm not feeling like I can play this thing, then you're never going to get good sound. Never get good tone. So I 100% disagree on the cheap amp, expensive guitar thing. I mean, you obviously, I'm not telling you how to think. I just totally disagree with that. What do you mean I should not play $1,000? Dude, I play a $4,000 guitar through a Spark Mini all the time. I play my Gibson Custom Shop through it all the time. I love it. And if you record with it, it sounds awesome. So, yeah. And again, understanding what it is, right? It's a positive grid. I know it's not a stack of Marshalls. So there's, you give it that sort of handicap or grace or whatever you want to call it. But, but it's fun. I really enjoy it. And if let me tell you, if I was playing some sharp, fretted, impossible to intonate, terrible, buzzy, cheap ass thing, I don't care what I would be playing. I would never even plug it in. Would never make it to the amp because I just wouldn't play it. A good electric guitar for me is one that I can play unplugged and still connect with it. I get that. Again, because it has to work. the guitar has to work mechanically, right? Like, so you have to have, the nut's got to be right. The intonation's got to be right. So you don't have any weird wolfy notes or any kind of weird harmonics or, the thing's got to sound like it's in tune. It's got to work. The guitar has to work. And for the most part, even really inexpensive guitars will work. It's a matter of how much time you have to invest to get them to work sometimes. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Hey, dude. You got it? Hey, can somebody come rescue the ball from behind the snake? He gets it in his head. The ball, there's a bar on the snake stand and underneath there, and the ball gets stuck, and once he gets his head into it, yeah. I was actually watching a video the other day too. I recommend that everybody watch this one actually. Follow him in general. Steve Sturlacci. He does a whole bunch of stuff on modelers and amp settings and rig setups and all that kind of stuff. He's got all the modelers. So he's got the Quad Cortex, he's got the Axe FX, he's got the Kemper, he's got all of them. He over time he's bought all of them. And he's really knowledgeable about it, and he tours all over the world. And he was doing a video the other day, and I really enjoyed watching it because he was talking about the difference between playing at a low volume versus a high volume. And what is it's something curve. It starts with a G. I can't remember what but it's a scientific thing where your ears hear something different at mid and low volumes than they do at higher volumes. And he was talking about one of the reasons why when you're in a practice space at low volumes, your tone sounds a certain way. And then when you turn it up, it sounds different. And that was it's just a little side tangent here from our conversation, but that was a really interesting video. And, he's right. All the stuff he was saying is right, but I cannot remember the name of that term. I'm going to make a video about that too. Hey, bud. He lost the ball is underneath the snake all the way see it? And he's been working on it for like 5 minutes and he can't get it out. Gotcha. I just got a Supro amp today. Oh, sweet. That's super cool. Supro amps are cool. That's really cool. I'm a metal player mostly, so having good distortion tone. Yeah, I get that. I've heard that ceramic single coils, well done, not like cheap, have a sort of punchy P90 sound. Yeah, we used to make a ceramic single coil to sound like a P90 on purpose. I used to make that, and I can't right now because we don't have the parts to do it. They quit making them. I'm still trying to figure out a way to do it, but yeah, it's really neat, actually. It's a really cool sound. Dogs are the best. Oh, he is awesome. He's awesome. He's just now 7 months old. And he hit 60 pounds last week. He's nutty. He's super fun. Man, I love my Princeton. I love it. I absolutely love it. I play it all the time. Yep. Amp is the most important part to me. Yeah, I like that. I think when people think that, or that's the way that, and the other thing too is how you approach the instrument will affect that. Of course, I'm a guitar guy and I'm a pickup guy, so the way I work is it doesn't do anything until it hits the amp, and my job is to make whatever is getting from your fingers to the amp work. That's what I do. So, am I going to be an amp guy? No. But I'm going to make sure that no matter what you get from me is going to work with any amp ever. That's like the thing I'm trying to do. That actually came up as a question the other day, and I want to do a video about it. And because, or at least I don't know how I'm going to handle it. We'll talk about it for a second right now, though. Somebody asked the other day, with all of the digital solutions, are they going to make special pickups for digital stuff? And there's no reason to, because what you send to an amp, no matter what it is, whether it's a modeler, whether it is a solid state amp, whether it is a kind of a hybrid situation, whether it's a tube, whether it's software, it doesn't matter. You still have to make electricity at certain frequencies and send it to that device. So it doesn't really matter. It just doesn't. Got a super chat from Thy Wings, Thy Horns, Thy Sin says, best recommendations for HSS setup with your pickups for an 80s inspired super strat. Oh yeah, totally, dude. Hot fives, get our hot five singles and a Super 8 bridge. 500K pots, 33 cap, done. And then the way we'll wire it is so that the bottom tone will adjust the humbucker separately. It is the bomb. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite setup that I like to put in my guitars. If I'm going to do a single hum for me, that's what I'm going to do. There are digital pickups. I've seen optical ones. But again, all they're doing is they're capturing a vibration. It's just a transducer. No matter what, you still have to take motion and turn it into electricity. And you have to take motion into electricity so that it translates that motion as accurately to the frequency that corresponds to it as possible. So it doesn't matter whether the output is digital or solid state or modeling or tube. It doesn't matter what the output is, because you still have to take motion and convert it to electricity. I just ordered an American Pro 2 Telly from Reverb. Sweet. Excellent. Excellent. Those are cool. That's a cool guitar. I'm a vintage 2 person. Obviously, you saw the video. And so I like it better, but I did have both of those at the same time, and I really did like that other guitar. It's really good. I'm not much of a Stratocaster guy. There used to be lace sensor pickups. Are they still a thing? Yeah. I don't like them, but they are. People still really like them. They really do their own thing. They have a thing. Lace sensors have a thing, and the thing that they do, I don't like, but some people really, really do like it. So that's why they exist. I appreciate these live chats, whether I agree with you or not. It always gives me food for thought, and I really like your pickups. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I mean, that's what this is. Like, there's no really wrong answer to any of it, right? Lithium Man, thanks for the super chat, sir. Given your fondness for P90s and Tellys, have you ever played a Telly body with P90s? Was it everything you ever hoped for and more? I have. I have built them, and they are quite awesome. I don't have one right now. I have a Telly with a double cut Telly, actually, with 2 humbuckers in it. But I don't have one with P90s in it. I have one of my Batfishes, which is a LP Junior. So that's, to me, the ultimate. So the Les Paul Junior, 25.5-inch scale, Telly bridge, P90 neck. To me, that's the jam. I have one of those, and I really, really like that. Well, I mean, I designed it, so yeah, I really, really like it. Strats are awesome. Yep. Yep. Oh, yeah. And if you want to do something really custom cool for your 80s Strat, we could do something really nuts. That'd be super fun. I have this neon orange acrylic right now that I was thinking about doing some crazy friggin' nuts strat pick guard out of. I should do that. I should make that tomorrow. You're going to see a video come out tomorrow. I shot it today. I got to edit it tomorrow morning, but where we do a bunch of custom stuff for one customer. It's actually what I'm trying to do. I'm trying this. I've never done this before. I watch all these other YouTubers and they do this like, kind of day-to-day shop. Like, this is what's going on in the shop, and tomorrow we're going to do this. And to give you a better idea of what we do. And along the way, then answering various questions, like talking about like, what was the one on Monday we did? I don't remember. We did something yesterday. That was fairly technical. Oh yeah. It was just talking about, the aspects of what makes tone in a pickup, right? But showing you as we do it. And so, tomorrow we're going to do a humbucker. We're putting together a telly set for a guy, and it is a humbucker with a coil split in the neck with a telly bridge, with a matching control plate, but it's going to all be custom stuff. So you'll see that video tomorrow. Do you have any specific on wide range humbuckers from for the MIM 72 Telly Deluxe? Yes, Lawler. Get the Lawler ones. They are the best, in my opinion. I like them a lot. Do you sell pre-wired Strat 11-hole pickguards? We do. I think they're 11-hole. Pretty sure. Yeah. I am pretty sure. How much extra is the mini switch on a loaded pickguard? I'll do it. Just text me about it. We'll talk about it. Which guitar should I take with me in a truck? Telly. Because it's basically a plank with strings and it'll put up with just about anything. Tellys are super good. If I was going to take any guitar in the truck with me, well, I have some carbon fiber stuff, so that's kind of cheating. I would bring if it was mine, I would bring I have a camouflage top. What is that thing called? It is a McPherson Touring, which is like their smaller acoustic guitar, all in carbon fiber. That's what I would take with me, but that's because I have one of those. Of my other wooden guitars, the guitar that I would take with me would be my either, if I was going to travel with one, I would take either my Hello Kitty, because it's cheap, but it plays really great and it sounds awesome, or I would take my Machine Gun Kelly Schecter. And the reason I would take that guitar is because I love that guitar and I love the neck and I love how it feels and it sounds awesome. And it has carbon fiber rods in the neck and it hardly ever moves. So that's the other one I would take with me, probably. If I was going to, choose a fairly conventional guitar. If you ever make a purple Jazzmaster pickguard, let me know. I'm on the hunt. I could do that totally. Just let me know. Let me know when you want to do it. It will not be cheap. I'll tell you that right now. That will be a pushing $100 pickguard. The reason is because the size of it is a non-standard size, and the way our acrylic comes, we get our acrylic in 12 by 24, I think, and that acrylic is not cheap. So one of the reasons we can make this stuff is because, like, for example, you'll take a bunch of pickup covers out of one sheet of acrylic, right? So it makes it to where I can kind of scale it and make it reasonably priced, right? But when we start getting into big pickguards where I have to burn like over a half a sheet of that stuff, because it is not cheap. So I don't mind doing it. We'll totally do it. That'd be super cool to do, but it just will not be a cheap endeavor. It'll probably be pushing, I would say, $89. That, off the top of my head, $89 is what that thing's going to cost. Output, sustain, harmonic qualities in a pickup actually change the way I play that particular guitar the pickup is in. I never hear anyone talk about that. You must not watch our channel very much, because that's the only thing that matters to me. Those things right there, the only things. Well, there's two more important things than that to me. Clarity and note definition on top of what you just said. More important than what you just said, because if you can do that, then those other things come automatically. But I agree. 100%. I think having a pickup that is loud enough in the right frequencies, which is mids, actually ends up meaning that you're going to end up with a lower output pickup, like actually lower winds, like lower numbers, but it's going to be louder. But also magnet choices in that. There's a whole bunch of things that are in that. But the clarity and the dynamic range are really important. Super important. To me, that's the most important. Clarity and dynamic range. That's where I live. Those two things, if I couldn't do what we do, I would stop. Because that's what I care about. Yep. I just bought 4 Harley Bentons. So much mod stuff I'm going to need. Yeah. And a bunch of files. And a lot of sandpaper and files and time. Van Shank Guitars. Thanks for your super chat, sir. Ad free for everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Ivan. Good to see you, sir. Still no T90 parts? Yeah, no, we're dead on those. I'm actually working with a Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll put a call out right now. I will make you sign a non-compete. But if you have or know of a 3D printing company, or if that's something, maybe there's somebody here that does that 3D prints at scale. You know what I mean? Not like I have a 3D printer at home and I could make one. I mean, like, if I ordered 100 of them, I need, you know what I mean? I have a design that I need 3D printed, but there would be a non-compete and there would be a situation. Most Chinese pickups sound great these days. No, they don't. You're just wrong. That's not nice. So, you know, one of the things, you're not wrong. One of the things that we didn't talk about, but that we should, when it comes to how much guitars cost and how much they should, or, you know, what your decision-making paradigm is also how much does things matter to you, right? So, you might not, you might play any number of Chinese pickups and you'd be like, they're totally fine. Good. You're like saving yourself a bunch of money. I play that stuff and I'm like, I can't even have it in my guitar. That's just because I hear different things. That's not, I'm a better guitar player than you, because we all know that's not true. That's not, I have more experience than you, although that might be part of it. That is literally, I hear things different than you. We just hear things different. That's the nicest way to say it. It could be because of experience. It could be because of, you know, various exposure to various different things or whatever. But the bottom line is very, very simple. I hear things different and you hear things different. And if what you hear makes you happy with those, then you're not wrong. As long as you don't get on the internet and start preaching that that's the way it should be for everybody, because it ain't. And I won't do the same either. Do you think it will ever be a day when copper becomes so unfindable We can't make pickups anymore. We have way bigger problems if that's the case. Way bigger problems. These hobbies that we're part of, guitar playing, pocket knives, all this kind of stuff, you know, it's such a small piece of the world. It's so insignificant. If copper was unfindable, the world would shut down. So, yeah, Last of Us. Last of our worries should be that. Well, you guys, hang on. One more super chat, and then we're going to probably get out of here for the day. I try to keep these to an hour. Thy Wings, Thy Horns, Thy Sin says, can you make an Ibanez RG 550 scratch plate? Maybe. It depends if I can get a drawing for it. It depends if I can get a drawing for it. That's the trick. So I can do anything pretty much as long as I can get the drawing for it. So that might take some work, but get with me. And if you can find a CAD drawing for it or an SVG or a PDF or something, then yeah, I could probably pull it off. You guys, it's been super fun. Thanks for hanging out today. And we will see you tomorrow. I've got a really cool video for you tomorrow that'll come out at 4:00 p.m.